It's 6 a.m. in Israel. A squadron of fighter jets, armed with long-range precision missiles, accelerates down a runway and takes off. The target is hundreds of miles away. Their destination is a highly fortified government compound located in the center of Tehran. Based on months of intelligence gathering, the CIA and Israeli military believe a significant portion of Iran's top leadership is currently on site. 2 hours and 5 minutes after the jets leave the tarmac, the missiles strike the compound. The explosion killed the primary target, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader and the highest political and religious authority in the country. The casualties were extensive. According to Israeli reports, the opening strike wiped out 30 senior Iranian officials, including the defense minister and the chief of staff of the armed forces, in exactly 30 seconds. For decades, the United States, Israel, and Iran fought a quiet conflict through cyber attacks and regional proxy militias. By dropping precision bombs directly on the supreme leader, the Allied forces ended the shadow war and created a massive, unpredictable power vacuum in the Middle East. To find the roots of this escalation, we have to look back to the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Iranian forces overthrew the country's US-backed monarchy and installed Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, establishing an Islamic republic that declared the US and Israel sworn enemies. Decades of intense sanctions and military posturing followed, until a temporary thaw in 2015. The Obama administration, alongside global allies, negotiated a nuclear deal with the Iranian regime, lifting sanctions in exchange for strict limits on Iran's uranium enrichment. That diplomatic bridge collapsed in 2018 when President Trump officially pulled the United States out of the agreement, calling it one-sided, and immediately reapplied heavy economic pressure on Iran. By 2025, that pressure had fractured the country. Iran plummeted into a severe economic crisis. The currency crashed, food prices skyrocketed, and massive civilian protests erupted. The government responded with a crackdown, shutting down the internet and arresting a reported 50,000 people. With U.S. troops building up in the region, officials from both sides met in Geneva on February 26th for a final diplomatic summit. It failed. 2 days later, the fighter jets took off. The assassination was the result of a precise intelligence window. The CIA had spent months studying Khamenei's movements and communications. Planners originally scheduled a nighttime raid, but moved the attack to Saturday morning to hit the building during a high-level meeting of top officials. The strike on the compound was only the opening move. Almost immediately, a second wave of 200 Allied fighter jets swept into Iranian airspace. Their objective was to systematically dismantle Iran's air defense networks as quickly as possible. Simultaneously, the attack came from the sea. U.S. warships fired off multiple Tomahawk cruise missiles, long-range, precision-guided munitions that can fly at low altitudes, striking military targets deep into eastern Iran. The assault resulted in high civilian casualties. An airstrike hit adjacent to a girls' elementary school in Minab.
While U.S. Central Command claims they were targeting a neighboring naval base, Iranian state media reported at least 175 casualties, the majority being children. Allied forces successfully executed a highly complex decapitation strike, but by deploying hundreds of jets and leveling city blocks, they guaranteed a full-scale military response from Tehran. Iran launched Operation True Promise 4. Over 200 ballistic missiles arced across the Middle East toward Israel. Simultaneously, Houthi rebels in Yemen ended their ceasefire, striking shipping vessels and effectively blockading the Red Sea. The swarm expanded. Iranian drones bypassed regional defenses, striking Terminal 3 of Dubai's airport and the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. Soon, ballistic missiles and drones rained down on major U.S. and allied bases across Qatar, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. Tehran coordinated its regional proxy network into a single, massive offensive. By striking multiple borders at once, Iran demonstrated the logistical capacity to overwhelm Allied defenses and destabilize the entire Arabian Peninsula in a single afternoon. In the immediate aftermath, the U.S. and Israel defended the assassination. The official argument is that the Iranian regime posed an imminent threat to American troops and citizens, making the preemptive strike a necessary defense. The facts complicating that defense come from the United States' own intelligence agencies.
Internal assessments confirmed that Iran's ballistic missiles couldn't reach North America, and the country was still years away from obtaining a functional nuclear weapon. Because the threat wasn't immediate, geopolitical experts classify this operation as a preventative war. A preventative war is a military attack initiated to stop a potential distant threat, often exploiting a moment when an adversary is economically or politically vulnerable. Under international law, preventive strikes are heavily condemned and are categorized as illegal wars of choice. The logic is simple. If every nation attacked its rivals based on what they might do in the future, we would live in a state of permanent global conflict. By launching an enormous military offensive based on future projections, and doing so without securing approval from Congress, the executive branch bypassed both American constitutional limits and established international legal norms. This satellite image shows the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. Because of the missile swarm, shipping through this waterway has completely shut down. Since a massive percentage of the world's daily oil supply passes strictly through that small corridor, closing it guarantees a severe spike in oil prices and a global energy crisis that will hit consumers everywhere. The security fallout is just as widespread. NATO has placed its early warning radar systems in Turkey and Europe on high alert, while intelligence agencies warn that militant cells may soon activate in North America. In 2 hours, an Allied operation eliminated Iran's most powerful leader. In exchange, the world inherits a synchronized regional war, a crippled global energy market, and a geopolitical crisis with no clear resolution.